Hey guys, it's Jake and welcome to the channel where I share travel videos, tips, and recommendations. And in today's video, we'll be going over what to do in Siem Reap, Cambodia. We'll talk about a sunrise tour at Angkor Wat, going to Ta Prohm, and going to Bayon Temple, which is in Angkor Thom, but we'll also touch on Pub Street and why I knocked on this random person's door. But first, if you guys could do me a huge favor and hit the like button or leave a comment or maybe both, that would be a huge help to me because it just lets YouTube know that people like the content, so it gets shared with more people, which is a huge help for a small channel like me. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about the things that you can do in Siem Reap, Cambodia. Our trip to Siem Reap was only about 36 hours and began with our host on Airbnb arranging an airport pickup in a tuk-tuk. It was quite the experience since we landed at like 11 p.m. and he was taking us through dark roads without a working phone, and we were just hoping that everything worked out. The place we stayed, with all fees included, cost $35.62 per night and offered that airport pickup and had bikes, but more on that later. Like most tours visiting Cambodia, we wanted to see the Angkorian temples and started the next day by taking a sunrise tour, and the first stop was the most famous one, Angkor Wat. I do have a video that goes more in depth about the history of Angkor Wat and my full opinion about the sunrise tour, so I'll try to add a link to that here. Angkor Wat is a temple complex spanning over 402 acres, which makes it the largest religious monument in the world by land area. It was originally constructed as a Hindu temple dedicated to the god Vishnu of the Khmer Empire. It was gradually transformed into a Buddhist temple towards the end of the 12th century. As with most ancient temples in Cambodia, Angkor Wat has faced extensive damage and deterioration by a combination of plant overgrowth, fungi, ground movements, war damage, and theft. The war damage to Angkor Wat's temple, however, has been very limited compared to the rest of Cambodia's temple ruins, and it has also received the most attentive restoration. We then made a stop for breakfast before going to Ta Prohm. The food wasn't that great, and I'm pretty sure that the restaurant was owned by the same company as the tour guide, because when I wasn't able to pay with my card, we went back to their offices afterwards where I could pay. Ta Prohm was originally called Rahavihara and was built in the late 12th and early 13th centuries. Ta Prohm is one of the oldest temples in the area and is said to be the first one built entirely of sandstone. The design of Ta Prohm is that of a typical flat Khmer temple as opposed to a temple pyramid or a temple mountain like Angkor Wat. This means that there are 5 rectangular enclosing walls surrounding a central sanctuary. Like most Khmer temples, Ta Prohm is oriented to the east. After the fall of the Khmer Empire in the 15th century, the temple of Ta Prohm was abandoned and neglected for centuries. This led to what the temple may be best known for today, which is the ruins being consumed by the roots of towering trees. Ta Prohm gained a lot of notoriety when it was highlighted by Angelina Jolie in the movie Lara Croft: Tomb Raider. At the start of the 21st century, there has been an increased effort to conserve and restore the temples, so some of the sections may be closed off to the public. Inside Angkor Thom is Bayon Temple, which was built in the late 12th and early 13th century as the official state temple of King Yavarman VII. I probably butchered that, so here's how you spell it. Bayon Temple is the only Angkorian state temple to be built primarily to worship Brahma. Bayon Temple is best known for the huge faces carved into the stone towers. And while Angkor Wat is much more spread out, Bayon Temple is more condensed. Like the other temples, there's a huge restoration work being done and it's ongoing, so expect to climb over stones and through dark, narrow passages to see it all. Following Jayavarman's death, Bayon Temple was modified and augmented by Theravada Buddhist kings in accordance with their own religious preferences. Overall, all of the temples were unique and great, and I consider each of them a must-go. And the one great thing about taking a tour was our tour guide was all over it and constantly offering and asking to take our picture. Seriously, all the pictures. As I mentioned earlier, the Airbnb we stayed at had free bikes for us to use, so I rode down to Pub Street after the tour. But the tires were semi-flat, so our host said that we could stop at a certain house who had a pump. I knocked and no one answered, but I'm not sure what the plan was or whether they spoke English. We then took our bikes with half-flat tires onto a busy road to take it in to downtown, and the whole experience was really interesting to say the least. But we finally made it to Tevi Place for fish amok and ginger chicken. One interesting thing about Siem Reap was almost everywhere we went, the price was listed in US dollars. When we got off the plane, we actually converted some money to Cambodian rial, and we didn't even need to. We then stopped by some of the shops. We also checked out some of the bars because they had drinks for like 50 cents US dollar, and even some of the places gave us free drinks to just come in, probably because we were the only people in there. We got some roller ice cream and even found some live music. The next morning, we wanted to head back into town for coffee and breakfast. We took a different way into town, and the biking experience was much more appealing. Still not that easy though, because our tires were still half flat. On our way into town, we biked past Wat Damnak, and it looked pretty cool, so we made sure to stop by on our way back home. Another interesting thing about Siem Reap was that it was under the French control from 1863 to 1946, so you will find areas with French architecture. On our ever-ending quest to find our favorite cup of coffee, we went to Little Red Fox Espresso for coffee, which is pretty good. We then made our way to find breakfast. And as you bike around this area, it was really cool because you would go along the Siem Reap River. We then went to Rohat Cafe for beef lak lak, a French omelet, fruit, and coconut cookies. The place was great, but one of the main appeals was the fact that we were running low on cash and they took credit card. We made our way back to Wat Damnak, which is the largest pagoda in Siem Reap. When it was first built, it was King Sisawa's palace before it was moved to its current location. And after the king left, it was transformed into a working pagoda for the public. Monks currently live there, and it is home to a public primary school, and is home to the Center of Khmer Studies. And the great thing about this temple is that it is free to enter. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a better idea of the kinds of activities that you can do in Siem Reap, Cambodia. And if you guys want to see what I did, I'll put the link down in the description, or if you want to check out other travel destinations, the links are there as well. And if you guys want to be around for when I post my next video, do not forget to subscribe. See you guys next time.